secret NASA mission to Mars. My name is Bill. Welcome to the Night Terrors Weekend Show, and we're starting right now. Remember, this over here, guys, is our new weekly schedule. The show you're watching right now, once a week on Saturday nights, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific. Then coming up on Wednesday, it is movie night. The Wednesday night double feature. This Wednesday coming up, it's going to be The Night Strangler, followed by another classic monster movie, Them. Night Strangler may remind you of The Night Stalker. That's because they have the same star, Darren McGavin, and it's the same concept. The Night Strangler is the second movie pilot that was made for The Night Stalker, and you're going to love it on Wednesday evening. Don't forget that. On Rumble are premiering all the old shows in order from Monday through Friday at 12 noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. Very easy to watch them at work. And don't tell my boss I told you that. Welcome to Elder Grown. And David Bryce says good evening to everyone. As soon as we get done with the 2112, Renee says good evening. So does Synchro 505. Michael is here. Welcome, Mike. Gotcha Man says good evening. We just did your show program, Gotcha Man. God willing, I'll remember the other two promos at the mid-time break and at the end of tonight's episode. Elder Grown with the super chat. Thank you, Elder. Thank you so much, sir. With the YouTube super chat, a classic, saying it's time for Night Terrors with Bill. Enjoy the chill. Thank you, Elder. Let's get started on Mars, shall we? Gotcha Man has just resubscribed to Turn 1. Thank you, Gotcha Man. They're currently on a 13-month streak. T-Ceratops says hello. Welcome, T-Ceratops. Oop, where'd it go? It must be over here somewhere, hidden away. Where is she hiding? Is this it? Let's not look at that. I think this is it. Big L1 says, let's start the show. No doubt. Yeah, this is it right here. Here at dailymail.co.uk is a story by Ellie Zolfagarafard. Ellie Zolfagarafard for the Mail Online. Entitled, I Saw a Man Walking on Mars in 1979, former NASA employee claims. There was a secret manned mission to the Red Planet. More than one, I've been told. The woman named Jackie called into a U.S. radio station, Coast to Coast AM. She said she was downloading telemetry from a NASA Viking lander. She said that she saw two humans walking on the Martian surface. According to Jackie, 6 other NASA employees witnessed the same thing. And they're saying this is evidence of a secret space program by NASA. Topic for chat. Thank you, Renee. The world's lightest solid. I've seen that somewhere. Maybe we can take a look at that. Thank you, Renee. Good idea to put all those bright flashing things there so I know how to pay attention to it. Welcome, Taco. Oh, no, it's Taco has arrived. Verpeen says good evening to Bill and everyone. Welcome, Verpeen. And Ellie begins. Conspiracy forums have been set ablaze this week after a lady claiming to be a former NASA employee says she has seen humans on Mars. The woman named Jackie called into the radio station Coast to Coast AM with a confession that she had witnessed suited men running on the Red Planet in 1979. Jackie said she was working as part of a downstairs team downloading telemetry from a Viking lander when she saw the humans by way of live feed. The woman named Jackie, as this caption reads, called into Coast to Coast. She asked the presenter, which I believe was George Norrie, I wonder if you could solve a 27-year-old mystery for me. that the old Viking rover was running around. At the same time, I saw two men in spacesuits, not the bulky suits we normally use, but they did look protective. They came over the horizon, walking towards the Viking explorer. NASA has not corroborated this story, but has not stopped conspiracy theorists from claiming it as evidence for a secret space program. According to Jackie, 6 other NASA workers also saw these two humans walking on the red planet's surface, in some kind of newfangled spacesuits. Eldegron reminds us the Viking lander was not a rover, so at least the rover itself could not move. Topic suggestion, disasters that could have been prevented. I like it, Rapine. Thank you. You got slot number 2. Thank you, V. The Viking Mars mission was performed by 2 spacecraft, Viking 1 and Viking 2, launched within a couple weeks of each other in the 70s. Each one consisted of an orbiter and a lander, which traveled attached together for nearly a year to reach Mars' orbit. The orbiters then began taking pictures of the Martian surface, from which a landing site was selected. The landers then separated from the orbiters and soft landed. Earlier this week, physicist Dr. John Brandenburg said he believes an ancient civilization on Mars was wiped out by nuclear attack from another alien race. And we're going to read a little bit more about this coming up. Dr. Brandenburg says ancient Martians, which he called Sidonians and Utopians, were massacred in the attack, and evidence of the genocide can still be seen today. Back in 2011, Brandenburg first postulated that the red color on Mars could have been due to a naturally occurring thermonuclear explosion. He said the Martian surface is covered with a thin layer of radioactive substances, including uranium, thorium, and radioactive potassium, and this pattern radiates from a hotspot on Mars. Quote, a nuclear explosion could have sent debris all around the planet, end quote, according to the doctor. Since then, he has advanced his theory to the level that he no longer thinks it was a naturally occurring explosion, but rather one planned by an intelligent alien race. According to Vice, the conclusion of his latest paper says that nuclear isotopes in the atmosphere resemble hydrogen bomb tests and may represent an example of civilization wiped out by a nuclear attack from space. And at that time, we could have done it ourselves. The orbiters continued imaging, and between Viking 1 and Viking 2, imaged the entire planet at what was then high resolution. NASA said, quote, although no traces of life were found, Viking found all elements essential to life: carbon, nitrogen, hydrogen, oxygen, and phosphorus were all present on Mars, according to NASA. Nigel Watson, UFO expert and author of the book Haynes UFO Investigations Manual, said that there are a few problems with Jackie's testimony. Well, that's good to know. A few problems is good. The story does, however, strike a note with conspiracy theorists who believe that NASA and other human agencies have secretly visited Mars and established colonies there. Other conspiracy theorists who believe the moon landings were faked note that Jackie, where we have a quote here from Mr. Watson, the missions are faked to hide the real activity going on in outer space, which could include collaborating with aliens who already live on Mars. We have more on Dr. Brandenburg here. That's about it. Comments from Malcolm X. I saw a clanger on the moon once. From Tommy321. Welcome to the DM science section. And from Eli King. From Sydney, Australia. Okay, next up. Secret manned mission, NASA mission to Mars in 1973. And 5 more Red Planet mysteries by Jackson Chung at techieblog.com. That's techieblog.com, as you can see up there. And Jackie begins. Is that Jackie? That's right. Jackson, I'm sorry. Jackson begins. Some believe that NASA had a secret space program, codenamed Project Red Sun, back in the late 1960s to early 70s. It involved actually manned missions to Mars. Thanks to computer graphics, just about anything is possible these days. But theorists believe that the current Curiosity rover is a giant hoax, as its shiny solar panels are evidence that they are being polished by humans already on Mars. There's one evidence of humans on Mars, the spoon on Mars. Footage from a NASA rover appears to show a large spoon on the red planet's sand-like surface. Apparently, this is the second spoon to be found on Mars. Actually, this one, I think, is a picture of the first one, with believers suggesting it could be proof of intelligent life on the planet or our life in the past. This thing is amazing, said one viewer, probably left over from a lost civilization. Considering this is the second spoon they have found, this could be a sign of intelligent life. I wonder if we could find both spoons. I thought this was the first one. Let's take a look at this close up. Open image in new tab. We'll try that. Show us a big image. Not too big, huh? How about this, an open image in new tab? There we go. This is the first one I ever saw. Pretty close. Where's a big bunch of pictures? Spoon on Mars. Right here's a big bunch of pictures. Spoon on Mars. There's supposed to be 2 of these. Oh, there's the other one right there, huh? Huh. This one has a shadow. You gotta love that one. How big is this one? Not very big. How about this one? This is not too bad. Let's open this in a new tab. Here's the other spoon. Whoa, it looks like it's stuck in the, looks like a wooden spoon, actually. Carved from Martian trees. Let's go close up on that. Frozen in a bank of sand. The other Martian spoon. The 2 spoons on Mars. They might be from us. Number 4. The stone circle. A mysterious stone circle has been spotted on the surface of Mars by NASA's Curiosity rover. As you can see, this strange formation of rocks appears to be put together in what appears to be a very artificial way, almost arranged in a perfect circle. It almost looks like these rocks were arranged in that formation, says Tyler of Secure Team 10. Either that, or these could potentially be some sort of ruin that is part of a much larger structure, potentially buried. Nothing really for scale there, though, is there? Stone circle on Mars. There we go back. Stone circle. Still nothing for scale here. Oh, there's more than one. Check out this one at the Daily Mail. Almost perfect square with 4 stones in it. Of course, that could be a distortion from the lens of the rover. Where's a nice long shot of that circle? I'm not finding it. What about that over there? Is that it? Negative. Is that it right there? What the hell is that? Standing stone circles. That looks like a different shot right there. Open image, new tab. They show people inside it. Yeah, right. That's not on Mars though, right? This is on Earth, I bet, right? Gotta be on Earth. They're excavating these circles, huh? Interesting. Yeah, short sleeves is a little bit too chilly for Mars, I think. Welcome, Pedro Ross Cervantes. Kylie West says man landed on Mars and the moon in 5,000 years BC by the children of Atlantis. Green tea has arrived. Welcome, green tea. Next up, the face of Cydonia. Cydonia is basically a region on the planet Mars that has attracted both scientific and popular interest. There's the face on Mars right there. Looks like there's more than one. It borders the plains of Acidalia planitia, or Planitia, Acidalia planitia, and the Arabia Terra Highlands. In one of the images taken by Viking 1, a 1.2 mile long Cydonian mesa had the appearance of a humanoid face. When the image was originally acquired, Viking chief scientist Jerry Soffen dismissed the face on Mars as a trick of light and shadow. However, a second image also shows the face and was acquired 35 Viking orbits later at a different sun angle. Here's those humans on Mars in 79. Now, an audio clip from Coast to Coast AM has a woman named Jackie claiming to be an ex-NASA employee that saw a video feed in 1979 from the Viking and what appeared to be two human-like figures walking around. Allegedly, she worked on the downlink telemetry from Viking. And while her coworkers were watching a group of monitors, the incident occurred. So that is a clip from the video. We can't do video on this show anymore. Cancel. Can we open this in a new tab, however? Open image in new tab, please. Thank you. This is a clip from that video. Open up image in new tab, please. Thank you. There being right here. Actually, that's supposed to be a person and his shadow. Shadow of the human and the human. Looks like there's another shadow of a human bending over. And another shadow of a human standing up right here. Lots of human shadows over here. Wow. And the true color of Mars, supposedly, this is what NASA tells us, and this is what it is in reality, it's still reddish. Why does Mars look red in official images? Well, according to NASA, these enhanced color images are shown as they would appear in Earth. Level light. Creepy pictures, says Taco. However, if you were to stand on the red planet, it would be an entirely different story, as the sky is also bluish on Mars, but darker due to the lack of sunlight. A planet-wide dust storm is also one of the reasons it's colder as well. Let's check that out. Supposedly that's the real, but the Earth still looks reddish, right? Open image in new tab. Can we do that? Yeah, I think so. Again. There we go. Supposedly the sky is blue if you were there, huh? Could be, I guess. That looks pretty blue to me. They said it was a darker blue. Maybe up higher it gets dark. The planet is still red, just a dusty red. Verpine, thank you for the super chat. Much appreciated, Verpine. Green Tea says 70 awesome shows in a row. Yes. Congratulations on your watch tea, Green Tree. Mars, the blue planet, says Taco. Okay, next up, we have one suggestion. Two suggestions, actually. One from Verpine, one from Renee. So if you guys put up a suggestion, I didn't see it, put it up with something with lots of stuff highlighted, so my eye is drawn to it. Because next up is our next topic. At 10:21, we move to suggestion by Renee, which is that's for Peens. We want to go to Renee's first. Who was first? The world's lightest solid. And here's a link. Let's paste in that link right here. Aerogel is only twice as dense as air. Aerogel. And the lightest solid in the world, neither liquid nor gas. Aerogels are a material that lies between these two states. They are the world's lightest solids, containing 99.8% air, and make for surprisingly great thermal insulators. I'm not surprised. Why would that be surprising? With the global aerogel market expected to reach $750 million by 2022. They're not exactly new. In fact, they've been around for almost 100 years. The material has been used by NASA in a number of its Mars missions. Yet research proves that aerogels could have a breadth of various applications in other areas. Got it. Of architecture and design that are just not being exploited. Aerogels could still be the material of the future, and here is why. This is at designboom.com. Uncredited article. You can see through it. That's pretty amazing. Having been around since 1931, aerogels are not new. Their discovery was the result of a bet between American scientist Stephen Kistler and his colleague Charles Learned, who wanted to see if it was possible to remove the liquid from a gel without affecting its solid structure. The gel is a jelly-like soft material, or any gel is a jelly-like soft material, a combination of liquid and solids, mostly liquid embedded within a 3D solid structure. This 3D solid structure acts as a skeleton. It has extremely tiny, nano-sized pores, giving the gel its rigidity. When you evaporate the liquid, the skeleton crumples in on itself, because as the solid structure sinks, the liquid molecules pull on each other and the solid structure surrounding it. Kistler solved this problem by realizing you could replace the liquid inside of a gel with another, and he swapped out water for alcohol. He then took the gel and put it in an autoclave, a pressure chamber used to carry out industrial processes. Then heated the gel until the liquid inside of it reached the critical point and turned into a gas or supercritical fluid. Well, you get the idea. It's complicated. It must be a great sound insulator, too. Just a little teeny bit of that, and you're a little teeny Bit of aerogel in your room. Your studio is completely soundproof. My neighbors would love that, I'm sure. Next up, from Verpeen. We're now 10:25, and we are running out of ideas quickly. But from Verpeen is an excellent idea. Thank you, Renee, by the way. An interesting concept, to wit. Disasters that could have been prevented. Thank you, Verpeen. One of which is Hurricane Katrina, evidently. If you need a topic, I do green tea. Thank you. Excellent idea. Got it, green tea, thank you. You are up next. Disasters that could have been prevented. Zuni failure. The failure of the Zuni music player. Water supply infrastructure breakdown in Togo. Fryscraper buildings concentrated sunlight issue. The Fryscraper. The Kursk submarine disaster. The Tacoma Narrows bridge collapse. The Deepwater Horizon oil spill. The Nargis cyclone. The Piper Alpha oil rig explosion. The Twin Towers collapse could have been prevented. Yeah, right. Hurricane Katrina, I guess they're saying for insufficient planning ahead, right? What's the best one to choose from here? What's the Fryscraper? The Fryscraper. Failure to consider environmental factors such as sunlight reflection led to the Fryscraper. Let's check that out. '27, the Fryscraper. London's Fryscraper owners to spend millions. It's at 20 Fenchurch Street, evidently. Financial Post. Architect behind London's Fryscraper blames outside consultant. Glare from London's Fryscraper becomes an attraction. Fryscraper melts cars with reflective light. Whereas it's hotter anywhere than I've ever been. London skyscraper. The Fryscraper of Fenchurch Street. Let's look at this article. Is that the real shape of it? Oh, goodness gracious. It's concave. No wonder it's like concentrated light burning your retina out. At tradequo.com. And no author at the top. What about at the bottom? Article by Jackie, or JJ from the UK. The founder and editor of Jaguar magazine. This is Traquo. Maybe they're related. And Jackie begins. It's not only me who finds this building perfectly awful. In 2015, the building won the Carbuncle Cup, awarded annually to the ugliest building in the UK. And it's not just ugly, it also has a serious solar glare problem. Reflected rays from the building badly damaged a strong and sturdy car, a Jaguar. I want to see pictures of that damage. It reflects the heat in addition to the rays. Temperatures of over 250 degrees Fahrenheit have been recorded in the area. This has led to the building being nicknamed the Fryscraper. The phenomenon is described in Wikipedia. During the building's construction, it was discovered that for a period of up to 2 hours each day, if the sun shines directly onto the building, It acts as a concave mirror and focuses light onto the streets to the south. It was designed by Rafael Vignoli from Uruguay, who also designed the Las Vegas Hotel Vidara, which has the same problem. In addition to damaging a car, the rays from the building have also melted bicycle seats, caused paint to blister, scorched carpets, melted furniture, and one local cafe effectively demonstrated the problem by toasting a baguette and frying eggs outside their door without any other form of energy. People living in the area or working in offices nearby have to crank up their air conditioning a lot in order to beat the heat at certain times. The architect was interviewed about the problem by the prestigious Guardian newspaper, and his explanation was the British weather and global warming. He said, quote, "When I first came to London years ago, it was not like this. Now you have all these sunny days. So why should you blame this thing on global warming? So you should blame this thing on global warming too, right?" Wrong, writes the author. Now we have all these sunny days. If Mr. Vignoli asked me about this, writes the author, which I'm fairly confident is unlikely to happen, I would have let him know that London has always had plenty of sunny days. Mr. Vignoli seems to subscribe to the stereotype theory that England is permanently gray and gloomy. The building has two other problems. It creates a wind tunnel at street level, and experts believe that the contractors did not fulfill their declared intentions of creating a sky garden that would be a green public space. In fact, it is open to the public only if they book several days in advance. And as for being a green space, it's described as a couple of rockeries and is likened to an airport terminal. Must be global warming then. Howard said the views are fantastic. That's what that whole thing is concave. The whole thing is concave. Holy moly. Not only vertically, but horizontally as well, as you can see from this picture. Wow, I want to see that Jaguar. Melted Jaguar, huh? Fryscraper. Let's go to pictures, wherever they are. Here we go. Fryscraper Jaguar right here. No way. Skyscraper melts cars. But that's got to be like an art object, right? Is that really what happened to this car? I think that's an art installation. $1.7 billion skyscraper melts cars, it says. That's a YouTube video. Where's the real Jag? Oh, here's the real Jag. Skyscraper melts Jaguar. There it is. Ooh, yeah, it did. Visit. BBC News. Walkie-talkie skyscraper melts Jaguar car parts. A new London skyscraper dubbed the Walkie-talkie has been blamed for reflecting light which melted parts of a car parked on a nearby street. Martin Lindsay parked his Jag on Eastchip in the city of London on Thursday afternoon. When he returned about 2 hours later, he found parts of his car, including the wing mirror and badge, had melted. Mr. Lindsay said he could not believe the damage. The developers have apologized and paid for repairs. They better take out that parking spot. The 37-story Fryscraper is currently under construction. Well, this was before even it was finished in construction, huh? Mr. Lindsay, director of tiling company Moderna, said, "I was walking down the road and saw a photographer taking photos and asked what's happening. The photographer asked me, 'Have you seen that car? The owner won't be happy.' I said, 'I'm the owner.' Crikey, that's awful." The wing mirror, panels, and Jaguar badge had all melted. Let's get those pictures, shall we? Do I only have one? Is that right? Only one picture? Yeah. Why couldn't they get with the guy that originally took the damn pictures? I mean, the whole story is about a melting car. Open a new tab, please. Okay, thank you. And of course, it has no resolution whatsoever. Here's your blurry image of the top of the melted car. That's bowing up right there. You can see that. That bows up. So that's melted there. That's melted there. They show us any other part of the car? Not really. Just this top part. Must be the worst part, the worst melted shred up here. Is that aluminum it's melting? Or like a plastic piece or something like that. It looks like it's a plastic piece between the roof and the windshield. And the front windshield. Because it's like this strip. Not to say that it should be melting. No, it shouldn't. Elder says, imagine how hot the interior must have been. Yeah, you don't want to leave the pet in that car or anything else living alive. Not even anything that's green. Badville says, Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul on the Fryscraper. Where's that article? Over here, right? The Fryscraper. No, I read that to completion, and that's where it is. Okay, we need an idea, people. We need our next idea. Let me look and see if we have an idea up here somewhere. Hopefully someone will have highlighted it. Hey, SJF, how you doing there, pal? Mystery holes at the bottom of the ocean. Thank you, Eldergrown. Oh, and green tea. That's the first one. I forgot green tea gave me one. Next up, green tea at 10:37. And that is... We're running out of ideas, people. Come on, we need some ideas. I'm sorry, Bad Wolf. We can't do anything political here. I'm so sorry, Bad Wolf. Let's paste green tea's idea. The Webbot prediction of a UFO invasion on upcoming December 3rd. Evidently, there's a Webbot prediction of a UFO invasion coming up early in December. Let's see. First of all, AI is not going to get anything recent. Oh, good. Thank you for Verpine. Thank you, Verpine. We got another topic. Thank you, Verpine. We'll see. 10:37. Webbot predicting UFO. There is a prediction from the Webbot project, a software developed by data analyst Cliff High, which suggests a possible UFO invasion on December the 3rd, 2024. Where's that original article, man? Dumping of US dollar Webbot prediction. Real UFOs, real UFOs. Webbot prediction. Is it in here? At realufos.net. Waiting for realufos.net. Okay, there's a bunch of places, a bunch of places. Is the Webbot prediction coming true? No, it's a different Webbot prediction. Okay. Not applicable. Not applicable. Well, what's the name of that guy? By the Webbot Project. Cliff High. We'll say. Cliff High. Listen to Cliff High on a podcast. The Webbot on Before It's News. New Cliff High UFO Battle Antarctica. Where is his Webbot? Alien UFO Secrets. His archives. Alien UFO information coming by August, he predicted in 2022, which I guess was true because that's when they had the hearings, right? Creator of the Webbot project is Cliff High. Let's go to Wikipedia. Maybe we can go off of there. Claimed hits. Misses. Reception. Duplicate this. Webbot prediction December 3rd. Webbot project, I think it's called. Alien Invasion. That's a game. Dumping of the USO dollar. At real UFOs again. I don't think they said where they're going to come down. An internet bot. Well, where's that prediction, people? How the Pentagon started taking UFOs seriously. Possible new open contact date on Reddit. No, it says here July of this last year. Not new enough, but it says 9 days ago. Data analyst Cliff High developed software called the Webbot Project to mine huge amounts of internet data for language patterns to reveal potential insights into future events. The Webbot analyzes conversations, blog posts, forums, and examines the word patterns, emotional tone, and shifts in language that reflect the collective subconscious of internet users. The idea is that humanity has a shared unconscious awareness of future events, which surfaces in the words they use. By tracking these linguistic changes, Cliff High claims the Webbot can identify early signs of future social, economic, and physical events. In this video clip, you can see Cliff High predicting a significant future event between July 15 and 16, 2024. This video was uploaded 2 months before this date, and in a video he speculated Trump moving back into the White House. I guess he got that right. In the next part of the video, you will hear of a temporal marker from 2009. It indicated Rogan would interview Trump on a podcast, which happened. This is believed to be a precursor event that has to happen before another event happens. Nothing about the December 3rd, though. Nothing about the December 3rd prediction. Let's go to Google and require December 3rd to appear in the results. Home. Should be Google, actually. Google. Okay, paste. Must include December 3. And for must, we'll put a plus sign in there. Invasion 2021 series, December 3rd. Yeah, I'm not finding it immediately. People also search for it. This is it. So we might have got the date wrong on that. Without the date, it's going to be difficult to find it. Phoenix Point. Are you sure it was December 3rd? These are all past events on December 3rd. 2013, 2020. Next up, people. We are definitely running out of ideas here, guys. I need help. I think December 4th says green tea. Okay. Green tea with a link. This link from Green Tea. A 15-year-old prediction by a software program. Here we go. Said UFOs would be battling in the skies 39 days after the trigger event. The event is Donald Trump being interviewed by Joe Rogan, which took place on October 26th. Correct date would be December 4th. So December 4th, after the trigger event. Okay, so let's go back and use December 4th, shall we? If we come up with a little bit more information on the prediction itself. December 4, not too many matches. PDF and aliens. Alien-themed horror movies. Invasion again. Dave Sucker interview. Games. Plants. No, it looks like we're not finding it. If you guys can find me a link. Bye, oh no, it's Taco. Have a good night there, honey. No, we're not finding December 4th either, but you get the idea. That was the trigger event, supposed to be coming December 4th. What day of the week is that? That's going to be a Wednesday, so a movie night. We'll be talking about it on movie night. Next up, from Verpine. Actually, Eldergrown's next. Good, another one from Verpine. Thank you, Verpine. This next one from, oh, why did that not copy? Control C, copy, guys, okay? There we go, got it. Next up from Eldergrown. Mystery holes at the bottom of the ocean. Let's check that out. That's 148. Holes in the ocean. Bottom of the ocean, that is. That I'm really... Who has Sir Nicholas Winton? We'll copy that from Green Tea. Thank you, Green Tea. Elder, I'm really going to need a better link than this, my friend. I'm getting like 0 here. Mystery holes at the bottom of the ocean. There's horror novels. There's a TV series. There's a couple of PDFs of aerial phenomenon. Thank you, Eldergrown. Elder with a link to help us out. Thank you, Elder. Here at oceanexplorer.noaa.gov. During Dive 4, it's called The Case of the Mysterious Holes on the Seafloor. Just as Elder said. Oh, check it out. Cool. During Dive 4 of the second Voyage to the Ridge 2022 expedition, was observed several sublinear sets of holes in the sediment on the sea floor at a depth of approximately 2,500 meters, or 1.5 miles down. While the holes look almost human-made, the little piles of sediment around them suggest they had been excavated. We attempted, but were not able to take a peek into the holes. We attempted to poke at them with tools on the remotely operated vehicle. It was also not apparent as to whether the holes were connected beneath the sediment surface. Oh, interesting. And here's a synopsis of the video, which we cannot show. During Dive 4 of the second voyage, we observed several sublinear sets of holes in the sediment. We saw the holes again during Dive 9, a total of 4 times, at depths ranging more like a mile. During Dive 9, the remotely operated vehicle pilots used the suction sampler to collect sediment from fresher holes. A look at the sediment upon recovery revealed no clues as to what formed the holes. Water samples also collected during the dive for later processing for environmental DNA to learn more about what may be living in or around the holes. And the author continues. Is we're going to get an author's name here or no? No author given. Scientists are not certain as to the origin of these holes. Wow, some are like T-bar. Wow. Caption reads, a close look at the sublinear sets of holes in the sediment observed during Dive 4 of the second voyage. These holes have been previously reported from this region, but their origin remains a mystery. Scientists are not certain as to the origin of these holes, so we put it to our followers on social media to see which hypotheses members of the public might have as to how these holes formed. We got a variety of responses, from aliens to an unknown crab species, to gas rising up from below the seafloor, and more. This was not, however, the first time scientists had encountered these mysterious holes. 20 years passed in 2004, while exploring at a depth of 2,000 meters. That's 2 kilometers, people. During an expedition along the northern mid-Atlantic ridge, scientists discovered several sets of these holes. A paper highlights how these unusual holes point to gaps that exist in our basic understanding of mid-ocean ridge ecosystems. In the paper, the scientist addresses some hypotheses. They were not able to determine the source of the holes or how they were constructed. Take a closer look at this. Check out the regularity of those holes, man. That is freaky, man. But they said circular. From this edge, it certainly does not look circular, does it? That's freaky, man. And at regular spaces, too. What about these from dive number 4? Again, they look more linear than circular to me. There's their laser pointer. Focus on this point. And that's the bottom of the page. I don't see any more T-bars, although that one looks like it might have a rectangular portion. It's obviously at an angle. Here they don't look as regular. Thank you, Method Marine. Green Tea asks, couldn't they send a camera down in the holes? They tried. Elder speculating that the rover probably doesn't carry a camera small enough to go down one of the holes. All right. Okay, this is the one about thee. This is the one about the holes. Next up. Boy, we are tearing through topics tonight. Next up is from Verpine. In fact, we have, I'm hoping 2 high-quality ones here for Verpine in a row, I'm hoping. Excellent. The Rainford Humanoid encounter sounds very good. Thank you, Verpine. Rainford, let's go to Fortiana forums for a synopsis of the Rainford Humanoid. Rainford Humanoid. And at forums.fortiana.org is a post from Abominable Snowman, which begins a classic entity case that briefly made national newspapers, reported in the same FSR as the Avili abduction. This is the sort of thing we rarely see these days. It says 2 sources for your enjoyment: Jenny Randall's an FSR and Tony Pace in Bufora. Explanations, no idea. The incident. Oh, excellent. Rhinosaurus Rex with a suggestion. Thank you, Rhino Rex. (2112) Renee believes they look like antholes. Well, by the way, folks, don't forget that coming up this coming Wednesday is going to be double feature night hosted by Gotcha Man, and I will be there in chat and in spirit and in chat, which means I'll actually be there. No, I'm always there, by the way. First one being The Night Strangler, the second pilot for The Night Stalker with Darren McGavin. So this is only the second Night Stalker movie ever made, and the second only ever made. Prior to the series, this was the second pilot. Instead of searching a vampire, as he does in The Night Stalker, in this one, he searches for an immortal. So don't miss it this coming Wednesday. Followed by Them, a classic movie monster movie. And we haven't seen a classic movie monster movie in several weeks, so I'm sure you're going to love that as well. An attack of the supersized ants. In Them. Okay, now first from Jenny Randall's. The incident. 4 young men in their early 20s had been out for the evening on January 2nd, 1978, returning from the direction of Rainford to the Liverpool area, where they live. The men were Jeff Hales, who was driving, Stephen Simpson, Glenn Matthews, and Keith Thomas. They had stopped on the way home for a drink, but this was by no means enough to have impaired their judgment. And in fact, the police were able to confirm that the men were not in any way intoxicated. The time was about 11:15 p.m. as they drove out of Rainford on the B5203. They turned left onto the old coach road, crossing the A570, proceeding for about a mile through open countryside, heading west-southwest. At a spot that we have been able to locate, they came to a crossroads. To follow their scheduled route towards the A50, they should have turned left at this point. But they turned right, which in the conditions prevailing was a very easy mistake to make. Since the surroundings are featureless and are somewhat similar in all directions, Jeff, the driver, quickly realized his error and braked sharply. The car was only traveling at about 30 miles an hour, but the road surface was slightly greasy and the back wheels skidded. The car moved over onto the verge and then into the muddy ditch where it was stopped, apparently by normal mud. Jeff was the first to see the figure, illuminated in the beams of the headlights. It was standing in the middle of the road at an estimated distance of 25 feet from them. All the witnesses were consistent in their descriptions of what they saw. There were slight discrepancies. Here's the Rainford humanoid on the left. The objects seen by PC's Lowe and Roberts, and the red object seen over Shevington on the 1st of January. This object seen 11 January. The Rainford humanoid, of course, from the 2nd of January. There's discrepancies over minor details, such as height, although all agreed it was at least 6'6", and possibly as much as 7 foot. But in general, nothing more than one might expect. It seems the entity was basically humanoid, and it was clad in a one-piece suit of a fluorescent white color. In fact, the suit was said to glow. There were white boots, which were quite short, and a rounded helmet, which gave no visible protrusions or openings. There was no indication of facial features, and no sign of a joint between the head and the body parts of the suit. The body was very broad, much broader than one would normally expect for a man. And the other unusual feature was the description of the arms. They were very short, and in fact some estimates were they were only about 8 inches long. The men were not certain what the hands were like. They were darker than the rest of the body, but it is not clear whether there were gloves on them or not. They did give the impression of claws, but unlike newspaper accounts which stated that the figure did have claws, the witnesses do not claim this with any certainty. The only other features of the entity was a rectangular box on its chest. I thought those are eyeballs. That's the chest box. In the middle portion directly underneath the head. This stood out in relief as if raised from the body, and had on it 2 red lights which flashed on and off in rapid alternation. The basic description does not conform with any clothing or gear used by experimental workers or other such persons by some strange circumstances who might have been in this remote spot. In any event, the men are certain of the non-human features that the figures seem to possess. As one might expect, the men were somewhat unnerved by this experience, and their first thoughts were to get the hell out of there. Jeff attempted to get the car into reverse and back out. As he was doing so, the figure took 3 or 4 steps in their direction, appearing to both be hesitant, and as surprised and frightened as they were. Now Jeff hails as an asthmatic, and the symptoms of the illness can be brought on by panic. And it was then when the creature moved forward that he had an attack. There followed a frantic struggle. Well, thank you, Eldergrown, for another Control-C. I thought it was the same order as before. No, as I wrote to Gotcha, they should be in Night Strangler first. So regardless of the intro, please play Strangler first. That'd be great, buddy. Thanks. Strangler is first. I'm too pooped to refilm. You don't have to refilm. Don't refilm. We'll just introduce the second movie first and the first movie second, okay? Don't worry about it. But I definitely want Strangler first, as I expect there to be the highest draw into the second movie. And Elder with a suggestion. Did I copy that yet? I did copy that. Excellent. Okay, so the intros will be out of order, but the movies will be in order. Excellent. Thanks, Gotcha. Appreciate it. Okay. And I did put that in the the chat, though I understand you for not reading it in chat, because that stuff just flies by. But I did note the order, the new order in chat. The time was about 11:15 p.m. as they drove out of Rainford on the beat 5203. I've read that already. There's the rectangular box. After effects. As one might expect, the men were somewhat unnerved by this experience, and their first thoughts were to get the hell out of there. Jeff attempted to get the car into reverse gear and back out. As he was doing so, the figure took 3 or 4 steps in their direction. Okay, now Jeff Hales, the asthmatic, at that time had an attack. There followed a frantic struggle inside the vehicle to get them away from the scene. Eventually they did manage to get away and drove off down the road they should have taken originally. And all the duration of the sighting of the entity was about 20 seconds. And as they drove off along the path, the witnesses were terrified. The first habitation they came to was Brown Birch Farm. Here they stopped, and despite the late hour, rushed to the farmhouse and urgently awoke the farmer. Seeing their state of extreme distress and the unhappy physical condition of Jeff Hales, he telephoned the Kirkby police, who came around immediately. The farmer commented to Stephen Balin when he was interviewed, "Those lads were really scared when they called. They were not messing about." 3 policemen arrived at the farmhouse. And went back with Stephen Simpson to the spot. One of the officers was P.C. McCluskey. He told the investigators that there was no doubt they were scared, both visibly and physically. I think they definitely saw something. The lad who was asthmatic sat in the back of the car when we arrived. His knees were shaking. He was white and could not speak properly. White as a sheet, let's say, and could not speak properly. When we got to the spot, I took the road to the right, and I locked my car doors. I wouldn't have gone there on my own without a car radio. The police searched for over half an hour, but this was obviously quite difficult in the dark. Nothing at all was found. Stephen Balin returned a few days later and looked at the area with witnesses. Nothing was found and no unusual readings were recorded on a Geiger counter. And here the version by Tony Pace. On the evening of Monday, the 2nd of January, 1978, Stephen Simpson, Jeff Hale, and their friends Glenn Matthews and Keith Thomas decided to go out for a drink. They'd been to a party the night before, arrived home early in the morning, and did not feel inclined to make it another late night. Apart from Keith Thomas, the other 3 21-year-olds lived on the outskirts of Liverpool and had known each other from their school days. They left the Golden Lion Public House in Rainford just after 11 p.m. Jeff Hales was drying his Triumph Herald, and both he and Stephen stated they had drunk no more than 2 pints of cider. A pint is a lot of cider, man. They crossed the A570 road and traveled southwest on an old coach track used by local farmers, which would take them through to Kirkby. The evening was cold and windy, and though there was a lot of cloud, visibility was good. Quote, "We drove down the dirt track and came to a T-junction," said Jeff. "I was supposed to turn left, but because I don't go down there very often, I turned right by mistake. I was doing about 20 to 25 miles per hour, and the car just skidded around. He realized his error, and the car came to a halt on the damp road. Jeff was the first to notice the figure in white. He was looking forward as he was driving," said Stephen. All 4 were shocked at what they saw. And although the script has naturally varied somewhat, a composite of the figure could be described as follows. Thank you, Method Marine, for your contributions there, by the way, pal. Sorry we bypassed that section already. My apologies. But I appreciate the help, Method Marine. The human-like figure stood in the middle of the track, about 30 feet from the car. It was estimated to be between 6 and 7 feet tall, and was clad in pure white one-piece suit. The figure was very big for a human, and very well built. And in the dipped headlights, the witness could see no texture on the matte white material. Probably the most startling feature was the massive head or helmet, which seemed to stretch across the shoulders, so that only the tips of these were visible at the tops of the arms. There were no features or visor on the square helmet. Jeff Hale thought the headgear about 2 feet wide and approximately 1.5 feet deep. It was not round or square, but had curved and flat areas becoming more flat at the top. They could see a definite boundary between the helmet and the body. Thank you, Green Tea, for the further suggestions. Much appreciated, Green Tea. The arms hung motionless by its sides. Stephen noticed that the sleeves ended short, with forearms and hand protruding from the suit. Unlike the rest of the figure, both forearm and hand were dark gray or black. The arms may have been a little shorter than ours, and Stephen remarked that he noticed fingers on each hand, which may have been claws. Except cookies. Back to the top. On the figure's chest were 2 bright red flashing lights surrounded by a rectangular area. These lights seemed to alternate like a strobe, but more slowly. The figure had big white boots that seemed to be squared off at the front. Jeff shouted, "What's that? What's that?" And Stephen began screaming at him, "Get the bloody car out of there." "I tried to select a gear," said Jeff, "but I could not. My nerves had gone." As he frantically searched for the right gear, the white figure started to walk towards them, taking 3 or 4 small, careful steps. "I selected reverse eventually," Jeff continued, "and the car skidded around, just missing having backed into a tree." They turned left and sped off down the track. Stephen Simpson could still see the white figure through the back window before it was lost to sight around the bend. They tried to flag down a passing car, but to no avail, and pulled up at a farmhouse a little way down the track. Although at first reluctant, the farmer and his wife let Jeff and Stephen in, and they phoned the police at Kirkby. The other 2 witnesses remained in the car outside. In about 10 minutes, the police arrived in 2 escorts, 3 of them, including a sergeant. Jeff and Stephen went with the police to the scene of the incident. But after about a half hour of searching, could find no evidence of the presence of the white figure. The police returned to the farmhouse, and Jeff and his friends followed them back to the Kirkby police station. There, the police questioned them for some time and wrote out a report of the incident. They confirmed that none of the men were intoxicated, and that just after 1 a.m. on Tuesday morning, all 4 left for the police station for home. And that's the end of that account. Incredible. And there's their hood. They did evidently have a seam across. They should have put a seam across there. And boots with a flat front they got. And around about the same time, and the day before, there was a red object seen over Shevington. And 9 days later, on the 11th of January, there was an object seen at Rainhill by policemen Lowe and Roberts. They call them PCs, I guess. Public constable? Police constable? Police constable. Next up. From. I am thinking Verpine again. Again from Verpine. this time. Suggested article. Here it is. Let's copy that. Paste it in here from Verpine. And at connectparanormal.net is an article about Alexander the Great and the Yeti. Journey into the myths of the Himalayas. Wow, this sounds good. So that's going to be at 15. And Alex and the Yeti. Looks excellent. By Jeff O'Connor. And Mr. O'Connor begins. Alexander the Great, known for his military prowess and ambition, embarked on a journey to conquer the Indian subcontinent. During this expedition, he sought to capture the mythical Yeti, displaying his curiosity and thirst for knowledge. This story sheds light on ancient intercultural interactions and the enduring human quest for discovery. Written January 4th of this year. And Mr. O'Connor begins. Throughout history, tales of famous leaders and their achievements abound. Alexander the Great is one such person, whose amazing military conquests expanded his empire's borders from Greece to Egypt and all the way east to India. Our story of Alexander and the legendary Yeti unfolds against the turbulent backdrop of the Himalayas, situated to the east of these borders. Alexander the Great, also known as Alexander III of Macedon, was a Greek monarch of antiquity who was very skilled in both warfare and strategy. The Macedonian Empire witnessed its greatest expansion during his rule, which spanned from Greece to Egypt and as far northwest as India. Excuse me. Thanks, guys. Alexander the Great was also known as Alexander III of Macedon. I think I read that already. Alexander's conquest reached the Indian subcontinent in 326 BC, extending his empire's eastern boundaries. This trip to India was intellectual and military undertaking. Alexander and his warriors were fascinated by the exotic nation, full of different people and creatures, which piqued their interest and strengthened their will to conquer and learn more. With the fabled Yeti, Alexander had one of the most fascinating experiences of his time in the country of India. The mythological creature known as the Yeti, or the abominable snowman, has captivated people's imaginations all around the world. Discovered in the magnificent Himalayas, this enigmatic creature has endured as a popular culture and folklore symbol. Legends portray the Yeti as a giant humanoid creature with shaggy fur, strong limbs, bright red eyes, and believed to inhabit the dangerous mountain ranges of Nepal, Tibet, Bhutan, and surrounding territories. Trekking to high altitudes and freezing temperatures, the Yeti is often associated with this area. Over the decades, the local communities that live in these difficult terrains have passed down stories of their experiences with the Yeti. For thousands of years, people have been fascinated by stories of its extraordinary strength and elusiveness. People swear they've seen it or heard its unique sounds reverberating through frozen valleys. After conquering, Alexander insisted on seeing a Yeti. I guess after conquering India. A mythical creature that existed before his arrival. Supposedly mythical. The villagers denied its existence, saying the beast could not live below a particular altitude, much to Alexander's dismay. Alexander had heard stories of this mysterious ape-like monster that lived in the Himalayas. So he went off on a mission to hunt a Yeti. He thought this would be a major discovery in zoology and evidence of his victories. One of the rare setbacks in his otherwise remarkable career came when he was unable to capture the elusive Yeti, even after sending his soldiers to search the highlands of northern India. Alexander's close friend Nearchus offers an interesting tale that sheds light on Alexander's journey and possible interactions with the Yeti. In his book Indice, Nearchus describes how, when fleeing India, his troops engaged in combat with what appeared to be Yetis. There are interesting similarities between the locals they met and the story of the Yeti. They were described as being extremely hairy and using nails like claws as implements. We summarize this narrative from Nearchus's Indice. With a favorable breeze behind them, they set out and anchored close to the Tamaris River after sailing for about 30 miles. These are the Greeks. There was a lagoon at the river's mouth, where the Aboriginal people lived in small houses. A little over 600 Aboriginal people stood ready to fight any attempt at landing when they saw our ships approaching. They carried massive 6-foot spears, hardened by fire, instead of iron-tipped. Seeing them unwavering, Nearchus gave the command for the ships to fire missiles, while remaining outside of spear range. The Indian spears were ineffective against volleys, but effective in close-quarter fighting. When they were ready, Nearchus ordered the lightest, most nimble, and most proficient swimmers to swim ashore. They were to await in 3-person groups, launch an attack, and then charge while screaming. The ships joined the swimmers as they jumped in, organized themselves, and charged in a phalanx formation while shouting. The astonished Aborigines withdrew as arrows showered down. They captured some, killed others, and managed to get inland. The Greeks, that is. Lacking iron, it says here, inmates covered themselves in hair and used their nails. The locals, let's say the locals. Lacking iron, the locals covered themselves in hair and used their nails, which resembled claws, as instruments to rip wood and flesh. They dressed in thick fish skins and animal hides. And with that, the story of the potential Yeti fight comes to an end. Analysis. The story of Alexander and the Yeti represents the spirit of inquiry and discovery in humanity. Alexander's ambition to subdue a Yeti demonstrates his inquisitiveness, a quality that greatly aided in his achievement as a military commander. The story also offers a fascinating perspective on ancient intercultural reactions. The Greek conquerors had a strong fascination with the Yeti, a creature steeped in Himalayan folklore. Conclusion. People continue to search for the Yeti even centuries after Alexander. Okay, next up. What is next up, people? At 11:24. Let's say green tea, because it is green tea. Whose idea is Thank you to Verpine, by the way. Who was Sir Nicholas Winton? Did we not do this before, Green Tea? I seem to remember doing Winton before, like a couple weeks before. What did he do? A Holocaust survivor is all it says here. I think we did that Holocaust story last week, guys. Yeah, he was known for organizing the rescue. I saw this movie. Good movie, by the way. He was known for organizing the rescue of nearly 670 Czech children from Nazi-occupied Czechoslovakia during the 9 months before the war broke out. Good movie, yeah. We did this a week or two ago, my friend. So sorry, Green Tea. Moving on to Rhino Rex. And you do have another one coming up, Green Tea, so not to fret. Lost ship in the California desert. That's a good one, Verpine. Thank you, Verpine. But from Rhino Rex. What is the idea? He says there's a story about an ancient civilization found buried in the Grand Canyon that was then suppressed by the Smithsonian. Let's see what that story is about. Right, an ancient civilization, potentially with Egyptian artifacts. It was a Smithsonian cover-up. Let's go to a story about that. Ancient Egyptians and Giants. Ancient Egyptian Treasure Hunting Forum. What secrets lie beneath the Grand Canyon? Let's try this one. At medium.puzzlingmysteries.com, there's a story by Arav Joshi. What secrets lie beneath the Grand Canyon? And the story begins throughout history. This is Grand Canyon, right? And we are at 28. Grand Canyon. The alluring of ancient mysteries has captivated the human imagination. From tales of lost civilizations to unexplained artifacts, these enigmas challenge our understanding of the past. Who were these ancient people? This episode revisits this and other ancient mysteries. Oh, please let it be solved by my little trick here. I don't think it's gonna be solved, but we're gonna try. Because this looks like a good story. Settings. Where's the magic setting? So we're on this side this time. And hit F12. Yeah, no, it ain't there. So another source for the same thing, maybe? The story of Grand Canyon's secret city is particularly compelling. Let's see if we can find this in another place. We do need a Google search. Deleting that. Pasting that. Appears only in one place. So note that doesn't appear anywhere else. Back to the drawing board. That should be here. Back one. Egyptian treasure in the Grand Canyon. Thank you. This at cnyartifactrecovery.wordpress.com, Central New York's leader in historical item recovery. Dated the 29th of December this past year. On April 5th, 1909 begins the story. Egyptian treasure in the Grand Canyon is author given. A front-page story in the Arizona Gazette reported an archaeological expedition in the heart of the Grand Canyon, funded by the Smithsonian Institute, which had resulted in the discovery of Egyptian artifacts. April 5th is close to April 1, but not quite, so perhaps the story could be true. I guess, in other words, watch out for April Fools, I think they're saying. Yeah, they weren't published on April 5th, I don't think. Nothing since has been heard of this discovery. Today, over 5 million tourists visit the Grand Canyon each year. You would thus expect that if anything was hidden there, it would thus since long have been uncovered. However, most tourists only spend around 3 hours of time at the canyon, usually visiting the legendary South Rim View at Mile 89, while most of the best and oldest tourist facilities are located. Furthermore, some have said that the entire discovery has since become the center of a major cover-up, apparently in an effort to maintain the old status quo, which is that ancient Egyptians never ventured outside of the tranquil waters of the river Nile, that being the status quo. The original story goes that the team found an underground network of tunnels high above the Colorado, containing various ancient artifacts, statues, and even mummies. A major discovery, no doubt. Impossible to slip off the archaeological radar. Still, the Smithsonian Institute will report it has no records on this subject. So what happened? To find out, there is only one guide, the article itself. Though the article was anonymous, it did identify some of the archaeologists involved. Are they going to tell us what the article said? They're showing it to us here. There's something we can read. How about open image in new tab? How about page up? Not very well. I guess we're stuck with a paraphrase of what it contained. One of the greatest natural wonders of the world cuts deep into the heart of Arizona, the Grand Canyon. Beautiful and breathtaking, this vast cleft in the earth holds many secrets. Perhaps none more mysterious than the one reported in the Phoenix Gazette. April 5th, 1909. An explorer, one G.E. Kincaid, who had served the Smithsonian for over 30 years, was reporting a startling archaeological discovery. Kincaid's boss, Professor S.A. Jordan of the Smithsonian, and the Smithsonian was financing the expedition, was said to be enthusiastic that the find be further investigated, as it was of major significance. Kincaid had found about 2,000 feet up the canyon wall above the Colorado River, some 42 miles upstream from El Tovar Crystal Canyon, a cave entrance to a vast underground city chiseled from solid rock. There were steps up to the cave, suggesting that the river level had been that high when the inhabitants had lived there. But this would mean at least 3,000 years had passed since then. This citadel was almost a mile underground and very precisely carved in geometric patterns over an enormous area. Kincaid reported that several hundred rooms had been discovered, but the full extent of the city was still impossible to estimate. Perhaps the most startling find was the Great Hall, about 100 feet from the cave entrance. This contained a carved idol, presumably of the god these people worshipped, which he described thus: an idol sits cross-legged with a lotus flower or lily in each hand. The cast of the face is oriental, and the carving shows a skillful hand being remarkably well preserved and resembling a Buddha. And though scientists are unsure of its religious import, it reminds one strongly of the ancient people of Tibet. Many smaller, beautifully carved images were reported, as was the finding of all kinds of copper tools, preserved by some hardening method, which modern-day scientists have yet to emulate. Artistic vases and urns of copper and gold, as well as enameled ware and glazed vessels were found. Granaries like those found in Oriental temples, and still holding seed, were also discovered. There was a gray metal found resembling platinum, which scientists could not identify, and yellow stones known as cat's eyes were everywhere, each one engraved with a Malay-type head. Even more significant was the finding of hieroglyphics, amazingly similar to those found in Egypt, engraved on urns, on tablets, and around doorways. Deciphering these would make a major step towards solving the mystery. But did it ever happen? A large crypt was found with mummies in it, reportedly well preserved. They were all male, entombed with weapons, suggesting this was a burial site for soldiers. Though varying degrees of development and ceramics found with them hint that this was a civilization that was constantly refining itself. It was thought that up to 50,000 people could have lived in the underground city. Strangely enough, the tradition among the local Hopi Indians tells of an ancestry harking back to their people having once lived in an underworld in the Grand Canyon, until rivalry broke out between two factions. The good faction, the people of one heart, were led to the outside world by their chief Macheto, while the people of the two hearts remained behind. Today, visitors looking from the south rim of the canyon can see the structure called the Isis Temple, a pyramid hewn from solid rock, of a cliff top, obviously man-made. Page 302 in the book of Ancient Secrets of the Flower of Life, Volume 2, holds an account by two backpackers of their exploration of the ancient pyramid. They tell of finding cave entrances that have been deliberately sealed, though they did seem man-made, one having a clear 6-foot circular pattern carved into the roof. The site is over 40 miles from the one reported in the newspaper article. Yet why would caves that are almost inaccessible need to be sealed up? And was the originally stated location simply a mistake? G.E. Kincaid was a respected man, the first European born in Idaho, or the first man of European blood born in Idaho, an explorer for all his life. His words about the entrance to the citadel are prophetic. First, I would impress that the cavern is nearly inaccessible, he said. The entrance is 1,500 feet down the sheer face of the canyon wall. It is on government land, and no visitor will be allowed under penalty of trespass. A trip there would be fruitless, and the visitor sent on his way. I sent a number of relics to Washington, after which the exploration was undertaken. In the latter part of the 20th century, detailed research by one Karl Monk uncovered a mathematical system employed by the ancients for the exact placement of the Egyptian pyramids in alignment with certain star systems. This same code can be applied to other structures, wherever they are found. His findings indicate that the Isis Temple must be a major archaeological site, lined up as precisely as it is with the Great Pyramid of Giza. Oh, and there it is right there. Check it out, man. That is that weathered pyramid in the middle of the Grand Canyon. Look at it. Open image in new tab. and the huge entrance in the middle. And this looks like this was originally a wall that wrapped the entrance. Incredible. Yeah, I'd love to go visit that stuff. Hell yeah. I'd have to wear desert camo, though. I'm pretty sure that's in the area where the government has made it off limits. So don't go there, people. Not a good idea to go there. What's that labeled? Must be two canyon artifacts. Here, another story even harder to read. Ooh, Arizona Gazette from March 12th. That looks like it can be read. That looks like the end of this story. March 12th, yeah. What does the end say? He is the second man to make this journey and come along in a small skiff, stopping at his pleasure to investigate the surrounding country. He left Green River in October and then went down the Colorado River, having a small covered boat with oars and carrying a camera with which he secured over 700 views of the river and canyon which are unsurpassed. Mr. Kincaid says one of the most interesting features of the trip was passing through the sluiceways of Laguna Dam. He made this perilous passage with only a single oar. Some interesting archaeological discoveries were unearthed, and altogether the trip was of such interest that he will repeat it next winter in the company of friends. The following narration shows how I came to be convinced of an exact location in the Grand Canyon that is key to this story, regardless of whether the newspaper article is to be taken for real or not. This contains mathematical proof. The story also reveals an ancient cartographic code that led me to this conclusion, and the meaningful coincidences that unfolded as I pursued this mystery. The location known as Isis Temple, which we just saw, is paramount and in a well-kept secret that is just now being uncovered in ways far richer and more important than material wealth. The cherished gem of Arizona, the Grand Canyon, is one of the 7 natural wonders of the world and contains a legacy and a link to history known only by a few, suppressed by greed and politics, and also by a forgotten code hidden right beneath our very feet. The author writes, I first came across this information about the newspaper article in 1998. To satisfy my curiosity, I went to the Phoenix Public Library, found the article on microfilm, and made copies of it. Like others, I thought it was rather odd, and if indeed the article was not a hoax, that evidence of ancient Egyptians would be found in Arizona. Until ancient Roman headgear, including armor, swords, coins, and other artifacts, were found just north of Tucson, not far from Interstate 10. He's describing about how he came across his sources, including a book titled The Ancient Secret of the Flower of Life. A rather large pyramid made from the native rock. Several cave entrances. Looks like time for the next topic, people. Eldergrown wants to know, does anyone know what microfilm is anymore? And so we're starting with, coming up, this idea from Eldergrown. Thank you, Elder. Deleting all that. And finding, according to Elder, oh, it's a link to the lost city of Atlantis, the Richat structure. Could the Eye of the Sahara be the lost city of Atlantis? This by Thomas Varga at earthlymission.com. Synchro wants to know, is there a difference between microfilm and microfiche? Yeah, the microfiche come in a rectangle like that, and microfilm comes in a big spool like that. That's how you look up newspapers usually, the microfilm. The microfiche is usually how you look up indexes, like censuses, stuff like that. Aha, says Synchro. If you type the word Atlantis into Google, begins Tomas, around 120 million results will pop up. Obviously, Plato's legend has long preoccupied many people, with many candidates being cited as the possible location of this lost and sunken civilization. There, the Richat structure on the left, I guess, and on the right, Atlantis and its many rings. The only mention of Atlantis by name in historical texts is in Plato's dialogues, written around 360 years before Christ, which gives dozens of precise details about what Atlantis looked like and where it may have been located in relation to other landmarks in the ancient world. It was this level of detail that has set many people off with the certainty that Atlantis actually existed. One of the best clues that Plato gives about Atlantis is that there was a series of concentric circles around the city of black and red stone, and of course the inhabitants were a seafaring society. Quote, Poseidon carved the mountain where his love dwelt into a palace, and enclosed it with 3 circular moats of increasing width, varying from 1 to 3 stadia, and separated by rings of land proportional in size. The Atlanteans then built bridges northward from the mountain, making a route to the rest of the island. They dug a great canal to the sea, and alongside the bridges carved tunnels into the rings of rock so that ships could pass into the city around the mountain. They carved docks from the rock walls of the moats. Every passage to the city was guarded by gates and towers, and a wall surrounded each ring. The walls were constructed of red, white, and black rock, quarried from the moats, and covered in brass, tin, and the precious metal orichalcum. So according to Plato, Atlantis looked something like this. And the author continues, while there is consensus among philologists and classicists regarding the story's fictional character, there is still much debate as to what could have served as its inspiration. Plato is known to have freely borrowed some of his allegories and metaphors from older traditions, which led a number of scholars to speculate that Atlantis was inspired by Egyptian records of the Thera eruption, or the Sea People's invasion, or the Trojan War. Others, however, insist that Plato created an entirely fictional account. But that's not us. There have been countless locations proposed over history for the lost city of Atlantis, including in or near the Mediterranean, and Malta, and Sicily and Cyprus have all been considered possible locations. Or in the Atlantic Ocean, where the Canary Islands and the Madeira Islands are such examples of those considered. Most recently, in a viral video convincing many, the Bright Insight channel claimed that the features of the Richat structure, otherwise known as the Eye of the Sahara, perfectly match Plato's description of Atlantis. The video received about 4 million views, and the story was covered in Germany's Der Spiegel, The Mirror, Vietnam's Tianfeng, Business Insider Australia, and the main United Kingdom tabloids, among others. Bright Insight claimed that matching features included 5 concentric circles, the diameter 127 stadia, about 14.5 miles, a waterway outlet to the south, salty groundwater everywhere except below the center point, and mountains with waterfalls to the city's north. Regarding the structure's present location, elevated away from any body of water, the YouTube channel pointed to the fact that lakes and rivers were once present across the Sahara, and that a gradual rise of the land of about an inch per year has since taken place. Here's the Eye of the Sahara as seen from space. There's an actual Eye of Sahara picture. It does look like the circles get thinner as they go in towards the center. And it doesn't go down zero, and there's like a central portion where the city would be. Kanga Kong tried Twitch tonight. Thank you for trying, Kanga. Don't forget to join us on Wednesday for movie night, too, on Twitch. On Twitch only. Invisible Sippy Cup. It's 3D Sippy Cup. Hidden pyramids in China, possible topic for next week. Thank you, Green Tea. So, it's about that time again, people. Let's show you the movies that are coming up. Being hosted on Twitch only. This coming Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific, is The Night Strangler, followed by Them, the classic monster movie blockbuster. The Night Strangler, of course, being the second movie only ever made about the Night Stalker character. The second pilot for the Night Stalker series, before the series actually came on the air, was The Night Strangler, which was the movie after Night Stalker. The Night Stalker, the reporter hunts a vampire, and the Night Strangler, he hunts an immortal. And you're never going to believe the underground pictures of I think it's Seattle or something. It's really fantastic. The underground pictures of the old city. Synchro used to love Night Strangler when he was a kid. Night Stalker. Night Stalker 2. Renee says, good job on being awake tonight. Verpeen with a contribution. Thank you, Verpeen. Yeah, give it another try, Kanga, on Wednesday night, okay? Well, Gotchaman will be guest hosting. And even if he says that the thing is first, the Strangler will be first. And even if he says the Strangler is second, the thing will be second. I mean, them will be second, not the thing, them. Good movie, them. Good science fiction movie. And it almost reminds me of a Star Trek episode. They have such nice futuristic gear in that movie. Good night, Verpeen. Good night, green tea. Good night to everybody. And may God bless and protect you all.